We had quite an intense council where we tackled, first of all, the issue. Well, I don't go in order of the points we took in the day, but in terms of political relevance of the debate, for sure, we had, first of all, an exchange with Martin Kobler on Libya after the conference in Rome yesterday, where we registered unanimous support from all the foreign ministers to, first of all, the results of the Rome conference, with a clear engagement to keep the process before the signature, after the signature of the agreement open, to enlarge and to broaden the support for the agreement, and to keep a focus on the need to have a Libyan-led and a Libyan-owned process. The second thing on which the ministers agreed unanimously was to make sure that the European Union takes full part to the responsibility of the international community to support this Libyan-owned process. We decided to task services to prepare in the next days the initial measures of the broader package we had already prepared in the last months. You might remember the 100 million package we had already prepared in September, so that the first measures can be operationalized from day one of the agreement taking place, especially on the field of humanitarian support, on some of the economic measures that the country might need, obviously in discussions with the Libyan authorities, and on support of municipalities and local services. That has always been one of the fields where the European Union has worked the most. So unity, action, and fast. Second point, we had Foreign Minister of Turkey, Cavusoglu, joining us after the summit we had between the European Union and Turkey on the 29th of November. That was mainly focused on the action plan on common management of the refugee crisis and migration flows, and before the high-level political dialogue that I will have together with Commissioner Hahn in Ankara in the beginning of next year, most probably in late January, beginning of February. So we focused our meeting with the minister on the foreign policy issues we have together with Turkey to face, as we share a common region and common threats in the region. First of all, the threat of Daesh and terrorism raising in our societies and in the region. We discussed the common approach to counterterrorism and common work on foreign fighters, especially on the difficult border between Turkey and Syria, both ways, foreign fighters entering into Syria and foreign fighters getting out of Syria back to Europe. We discussed the issue of, obviously, the political process we started in Vienna to bring an end to the war in Syria. We exchanged views on the fight against Daesh, on the situation in Iraq, and of course also on Libya, as Turkey was also part of the efforts of the international community to bring an agreement there. We had then with the ministers a discussion on counterterrorism. More than a discussion, we had a report. I reported to them on the measures that we implemented already since February, because you might remember in February, just after the Charlie Hebdo attacks in Paris, we adopted some decisions that were in these months implemented on the external side of our counterterrorism activities that complement measures that we take as the European Union on the internal side. You might have seen both ECOFIN or the Justice and Home Affairs Council have taken some decisions in the last weeks to complement them on the external side. We shared priorities both in geographical and thematic terms that I will then report back also to the European Council. If you want ask more about that, I will go more in details about these priorities. But again, it's mainly an issue of continuing the implementation with more focus on some of the priorities we identified. Then we had a point on, actually we started with that this morning with Eastern Partnership. All the 6 different countries we have among our partners. We discussed of tailor-made, differentiated approach for each and every one of them with different approaches, as the realities are very different. Again, here, if you are interested in one specific country rather than the other, ask. I will go more in detail. But with an overall political message that is also translating into our concrete daily work, that as we focus very much on the South, we keep our political attention and engagement very high to the Eastern neighborhood and Eastern partners at the same time, and all united in this. Let me add two short points that were not part of the discussion, of the agenda of discussion, but still were debated among us. One is related to the Middle East peace process, especially after the adoption of the technical guidelines on indication of origin. We had an exchange of views in this respect with the ministers, and we commonly decided it was important also for me to pass this message publicly, that the Council and the European Union stays united on these technical guidelines of indication of origin, which is in no way a boycott and should in no way be interpreted as one. The second thing on which the Council was completely united is our continued engagement in the Middle East peace process and in broader bilateral relations with Israel. There is full unity and solidarity among member states and among European institutions on that. Last but not least, the Council adopted conclusions, a decision as an A point. Pour ça, je vais passer au français.
Regards
la décision du tribunal
the
de l'Union européenne
decision taken by the European Court last Thursday on the agricultural agreement between the EU and Morocco and its implementation. We've considered various options, and the Council decided today to appeal against the Court of First Instance ruling and to challenge that so as to ensure full legal security regards the effects of the agricultural agreement with Morocco. Our international commitments will be respected. Yesterday, I met with Mr. Mezouar, the Foreign Affairs Minister, in Rome in margins of a meeting about Libya, and we'll be meeting now as part of our Association Council, and I will be returning with him to make declarations to the press around about 7 o'clock when we've finished our discussions. Thank you.